Hey guys, welcome to the studio. Still feeling a little like shit, so today's video will be definitely different. It will be hangover story time without the hangover. A sick story time if you want. And I got some nice giveaways and prizes for you as my way of saying sorry for making shitty content in the past week, because I was like, there's every day more and more that I need to take care of, more and more I want to accomplish. And then in this kind of phase where a lot of stuff is happening right before ADE, where I need to finish a bunch of stuff, being sick is like the worst ever. So we'll have for today one of these two as a giveaway. New sound cards by Arturia called Mini Fuse 1 and 2. And I think there's also Mini Fuse 3 or 4. And all you'll have to do is just follow me on my Instagram. Just go to Instagram, follow me, come back here to YouTube and comment down below that you follow, and you'll have a chance to enter this one right here, win it, have it for your studio, make music with it, all the good and fun stuff. And now, the story time, something I haven't shared ever before and probably summarizes the darkest, weirdest time of my life. It's so crazy that I don't even know why I was in there and that I let other people do that with me, mostly my parents. But yeah, let's start at the very beginning. So when I was 13, 14, man, it feels so weird. It's such a dark time of my life. And every time thinking about it, I'm like, how did you even like pull through all of this kind of weird shit? So it was like, after school, I was like 13, 14. Instead of going home, do my homework, or go home and play with other kids, I went to this place my parents forced me to go to. It was like, in Germany, call it Hausaufgabenbetreuung, which is basically like a place where you do your homework and someone overwatches a bunch of kids. So basically extended school in a way to do homework and also learn the stuff you're bad at. I was bad in everything. I just hated school. I just felt it was very restrictive, and like I learned a whole lot of bullshit that no one needs. Like even now, I still think the same way. All of it is like bullshit and nonsense. You should learn in school how to do your taxes, or how to invest your money, or how to write an email, but all of that no one teaches you. So you're basically spending a big chunk of your life learning stuff that is just not part of life. It's more like learning for getting grades, and with these grades people believe that you're smart enough to do this kind of job instead of just proving that you could do this job. You know what I mean? But that's a whole nother story. So I had to go to this place. So the place, it was maybe the size of this room right here. Six people at one big table, and at the front desk was the woman in charge. It's really hard to describe her. She was very strict, probably back then like the age of my parents, maybe a little older. She was non-stop smoking, non-stop. Like this wouldn't even be possible nowadays, like in front of like 13, 14, 16-year-old like smoking in the room. But she did constantly, nonstop. There was always a cigarette in her mouth. She had dogs. I think was it like 3 or 4? How do you call them? Like these running dogs, like the fast ones. Greyhounds, is it? Like, yeah, that was actually correct. So yeah, 4 of them, and she loved them more than anything else. So for example, one day I stood up to go to her desk first week to show her like my math calculation and get it checked, and a dog jumped onto my chair, like, and I went back and I was like moving the chair and wanted to kick him off, and she was like, no, if the dog sits there, you can only like sit on the part that is left, don't bother with the dog. I think obviously she did it just to kind of punish us in a way. It was very abusive in a way if I think about it. But the worst was like really the time I spent there, like the amount of time. It was every day for at least 2 hours after school, and every 2 hours came new kids. So there was a slot at 2, at 4, and I think at 6, and it went until 8. And I was the stupid one because I was like the least cooperative. Like I was like rebelling against it. I was the one that stayed there the longest. So I'd say on average like 4 hours per day, sometimes 6, sometimes even longer than that. I mean, yes, I did my homework. That was nice. I learned a little here and there, and my grades probably got a little bit better. My parents until today still argue that without her, I would have never like got anything. But I think you could have achieved the same without like spending so much time in there, and it was so boring. I sat there for hours and hours, sometimes not doing anything. It was just like a punishment, just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there for I think 3 or 4 years. And some of my friends, I think my parents recommended this place to some of my friends. They also had them to go there, which made it a little more fun because there were other people, but you couldn't talk with them and do shit. Like if I talk nowadays to them, they're still like, yeah, that was the worst ever. Like the worst ever. It felt like prison. And especially when you're young, like an hour is a really long time. So I lost basically all of my friends because I was never around. Like I was in school and then at that place. Also, I got in contact due to this place because this place, like in Germany, we have like different school systems. And I was like in the highest one where you usually have like smarter kids and from families that are like more stable. And then you have like other school systems where it gets a little worse. So I was put together with like kids from other schools, and they were basically just criminals, like drugs and like weapons and like insane stuff that was happening there. So I got in contact with the wrong people due to this, which also like for a long time changed my life to the worst. Did a whole lot of bullshit. Everything got even worse, I think. So yeah, that was kind of the starting point of my life drifting towards really bad. I was a kid that didn't listen, but I wasn't like a bad kid in a sense. But this kind of phase in time switched me to something else that I didn't like. This went on for 4 or 5 years. I had the weirdest friends. I even knew some people that were like sniffing deodorant like through socks. That's how weird it got. I was at parties where the police raided the entire place. Yeah, drugs, weapons, weird places behind the main train station. That was like, I'm just telling you like 1% of it because I could never ever say anything of it public, but it was weird. And it all started with that place. It made me go nuts, like due to being like overly watched after and kept in that place. So every second that I had free, which was very little during the week, basically nothing, I went even crazier and I got in contact with the wrong people. But hey, at least my grades were better. That was at least what my parents thought. I wish I would have been smarter back then. Like, I think the right call would have been just to stand up and say, fuck you, and not go there. But back then, I don't know, I was like too afraid of like my parents and her. The weirdest was a party. I wasn't even part of it. It got so crazy. I think 6 people got arrested and all 6 of them had to leave school and got like huge punishment. I was luckily, that day I wasn't there. It even ended up in the newspaper because they were like entirely destroying the place and throwing stuff out of the window. Yeah, like I'm so happy I wasn't part of that day. I'm a good kid now. That's that's the good part. And I worship the good because I know the bad. But yeah, anyways, that was just like a hint of what happened back then. I could fill books with it and get way more detailed, but again, that's maybe not for the public. So thanks a lot for watching. Again, if you want to, let's really start with the small one. If you want to win this one, go to my Instagram, follow, it's linked down below, and just let me know here on YouTube and the comments that you followed, and you'll have a chance to win this one. We're doing it worldwide, no matter what age you are, just do it and we'll get in contact. Thanks a lot for watching. Tomorrow, hopefully less sick, back to our normal, regular vlog here. in the studio.